The 8 logical inferences that prove the existence of the greatest creator. Xiefeng. 8. There is telepathy between everything, and the terminal of the telepathy is the greatest creator. Everything in the universe is interconnected, the means of connection is telepathy. Telepathy is the reception of and response of an object to the external stimuli. There are 2 kinds of external stimuli, one is dominant stimulus and the other is recessive stimulus. Dominant stimuli mainly take place by way of shapes, odors, colors, sound, heat and cold, softness and hardness, and light and shade, etc. Recessive stimuli take place mainly via sound waves, electromagnetic waves, thought waves, biological waves, same frequency waves, and radiation, etc. For example, we will feel pleased to see beautiful birds, blue sky, white clouds, handsome people, and we will feel horrified to see caterpillars, snakes, gathering black clouds, and monsters in terror films. We will feel intoxicated to see sexy girls in miniskirts, and we will feel disgusted to see things we dislike. All these are different telepathies induced by stimuli of forms. We will feel good appetite to smell the aroma wafted from the kitchen. We will feel nausea to smell the stinking odor from the washroom, we will feel refreshed to smell the fragrance of flowers, and we will feel disgusted to smell the vomit of a drunken person. All these are the telepathies to the smell. We will feel happy to see the colorful flowers, we will feel anxious to see the scene of murder with pools of blood, we will feel cool to see blue colors, and we will feel warm to see the color of fire. All these are telepathies to colors. Melodious songs, touching rhythms, and affectionate whispers of the loved one can provoke surging thoughts or emotions, while the friction of shovels on cement ground, funeral music, and malicious shouting will cause palpitation, unrest, and depression. All these are telepathies to sounds. The muscles contract in cold weather, the sweat gland distends in sultriness, we feel comfortable lying on Simus bed, we feel uncomfortable lying on stony surface, we will be wild with joy in bright spring days, we feel frightened in darkness. All these are different telepathies to warmth, cold, softness, hardness, and darkness and light. The above is a discussion of dominant external stimuli. The telepathies to recessive external stimuli are as follows. Sometimes people will inexplicably feel willies and unrest, and this is telepathy to the thought wave and biological wave of those related to them. From the perspective of super time and space, some accidents usually emit a same frequency wave to stimulate people's nerves before the occurrence. At this time man will feel the influence, just like many animals that are sensitive to the geomagnetic waves prior to the earthquake. The fish will keep leaping out of water, the dogs will bark fiercely, horses will neigh, rats will run about, and roosters will coyote. Sometimes our ears and faces will flush, and this is because we are warned of the information related to ourselves, just like the stimulus to the arthritis patients caused by the coming cold current. In Outlaws of the Marsh, the incident in the snowy mountain god temple experienced by Lin Chong, the instructor of the 800,000-strong Imperial Army, seems to be a coincidence, but actually it reflects telepathy to future happenings. Without this telepathy, he would have been buried in the fire. The hero of Robinson Crusoe had the following description: having thus settled my affairs, sold my cargo, and turned all my effects into good bills of exchange, my next difficulty was which way to go to England. I had been accustomed enough to the sea, and yet I had a strange aversion to go to England by the sea at that time, and yet I could give no reason for it, yet the difficulty increased upon me so much, that though I had once shipped my baggage in order to go, yet I altered my mind, and that not once but 2 or 3 times. It is true I had been very unfortunate by sea, and this might be one of the reasons. But no one would ignore his strong internal impulses in cases of such moments. 2 of the ships which I had singled out to take, I mean more particularly singled out than any other, for one of them, I had put my luggage on board, and for the other, I had made an agreement with the captain, but I didn't take any of them. It turned out that bad things happened on both ships. One was captured by the Algerines, and the other was hit and sank at start near Tobe Bay, and all the people drowned except 3. I would be miserable no matter which ship I had taken. As to taking which one would make me more miserable, it is hard to say. This is telepathy to recessive stimuli, without which Robinson would have been buried under sea. Subconscious behavior is an inexplicable behavior of telepathy, which has saved hundreds of millions of lives and at the same time caused tens of thousands of people to step on the road to death. Someone has conducted research on biological telepathy. In the experiment, he divided the 50 snails into 25 pairs. Each pair was separated from the other pairs. After some time, the same letter was written on the shells of each pair of snails, and one of the pair was brought to America, the other still remained in Paris. Later at a given time the snail staying in Paris was stimulated with electric current, at the same time the one brought to American also exhibited the same reaction of electric current. The snail in Paris exhibited reaction to electric current reaction because it had been stimulated by electric current. The snail in America was not stimulated by electric current, but why did they also exhibit reaction to the stimulus of electric current? It is because it has a power of telepathy, which is a subconscious behavior. Doves, dogs and horses have telepathy for the tracks of their masters. After the doves are taken to a different place and are released from hands, they can locate and return to their master's home. Place a dog inside a box and take it to another place hundreds of miles away, it can still return to its original home without mistake. An animal trainer Dudorov can use his thought to cue the animal to perform. One time, he mentally ordered his dog, go to the piano and knock at the white keys with your paws. It is said that the dog did as he was instructed. Another time, in accordance with request of the audience, he made two lions, who had lived together harmoniously for 3 years, fight with each other. Once a researcher Karen Skies said to the animal trainer, since you can use your thought to hint, please cue me to perform an act with your thought. He agreed and made the researcher sit there motionless. Then he took a slip of paper and scribbled something on it. He covered the paper with his hand and looked at the researcher, who had felt nothing special but involuntarily scratched the back of his right ear. Before the researcher had put down his hands, the trainer handed the paper to him, and the researcher saw the letters on the paper, scratch the back of your right ear. It can be seen from the above example that the researcher involuntarily scratched the back of his right ear without feeling anything special. This action seems to be the personal behavior of the researcher, but he had faithfully performed the instruction of the trainer. The world-renowned psychic Wolf Messing was once having dinner with the celebrated founder of psychology Freud at Einstein's residence in Vienna. During the meal, Freud secretly conducted an experiment. He did not utter a word, but only mentally gave Messing an instruction, requesting him to go to the bathroom cupboard and pick up some tweezers. Return to Albert Einstein, pull out from his luxuriant mustache 3 hairs. After the silent instruction, Professor Freud continued with his dinner, talking and smiling with the host as usual. Messing seemed to have noticed nothing. But when the coffee was brought to them, Mason immediately stood up, went to the bathroom cupboard and picked up some tweezers, walked near Einstein, bended over him, slightly raised Einstein's obedient chins, and carefully pulled out from his luxuriant mustache 3 hairs and placed them before Freud. There are countless such examples. All the living creatures in the boundless universe are all subconsciously performing one after another instruction. Our next move and next word are seemingly personal behaviors, but actually they are telepathy and reaction to the dominant and recessive external stimuli. Then whose instructions are we following? In accordance with the order of life, the lower order of life has telepathy for the instructions of the higher order of life. The low-energy life has telepathy for the instructions of the high-energy life. Namely, plants receive the instructions of animals, man, celestial being, Buddha, and God. Animals receive the order of man, celestial being, Buddha, and God. Man receives the instructions of celestial being, Buddha, and God. Celestial being receives the instructions of Buddha and God. Buddha receives the instruction of God. Whose instructions does God receive? God receives the instructions of the greatest creator. In the final analysis, the terminal of telepathy is the greatest creator. I am sure you will cast away your suspicion over the existence of the greatest creator after reading the above 40 evidences and 8 logical inferences. Since the greatest creator is there, what characteristics does the greatest creator have?